Hi, I'm Coach Freeman, and you're watching Average Joe's Sport Talk.
We are here in a beautiful, well, I won't say beautiful, Coach, but I'll say a cloudy day here at Thompson High School. It's beautiful because we're still above ground and breathing, and God be the glory of that. Coach, I want to start your interview off. You're obviously very successful, known nationwide, not just statewide, but what I want to do is take you back to the early days. You grew up in Fairfield, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Take us back to the early days, what your childhood was like growing up all the way up until school.
Well, growing up in Fairfield, obviously, Red Lutz, Coach Lutz was the head coach at Fairfield High School, and in those days, you grew up and you stayed in the yard till dark. You know, when the street lights came on, you knew it was time to go home, and there was nothing to do really but play whatever sport was in season. And growing up, we started Pee Wee football, I think, at 6 years old, and we played Pee Wee football in the community together. And then when baseball would roll around, we had different parts of Fairfield had their own city, and so we played baseball separate. But when we all came together and played football, we was all on one team in Fairfield. And you know, Friday night, everybody went to Fairfield High School, Clements Field, and watched the Tigers play. And man, we watched some great football come through there. And I was blessed to meet Coach Fuller. Coach Fuller lived next door to my aunt and uncle, and so I got to be around Jim, Coach Fuller, very often, and just grew up around some great football. And you know, from there you just grow up in that community, and now as life goes on, you go to school, you move, and so we transitioned to McCalla, and then from McCalla I worked here for years, and we moved to Gulf Shores and Spanish Fork for 6 years, and came back to Thompson, you know, to take this on.
Coach, at what point in your career did you think coaching was going to be a part of your life? I seen an interview with you when you were working another job, and you actually talked about you'd walk by school buses on your way, and you felt like you was drawn into that school bus.
I was like, all we did is play sports, and I was really blessed in baseball as a pitcher and an outfielder in baseball, and I was blessed to play golf. I played golf since I was a little boy, and leaving high school, I was going to get a chance to play baseball and football together. Back in the day, there was no scholarship limit, so I was going to get a chance to play baseball and football, and I was working and playing travel baseball. And I say travel is really like Hueytown Park ball, and I played on American Legion team, so it was every night. And somehow I got mono, and the day before practice started, I was really sick, and my mom took care of me to the hospital, and they put me in there, I think, for 6 days, and it was so bad that your liver, your spleen is swelled up, and they don't release you for like 6 weeks. And so in that 6-week transition, I taught myself out of, you know, I'm tired of running, I'm tired of playing sports, I want to do this. And a guy had offered me a position to work at the country club, and so I thought, I'll do that. My college coach called me and said, hey, if you'll go to Jeff State and play for Coach Green for one fall, your school won't count. In January, you can pick it up. So that fall, I went and played for Jeff State, Coach Green, out there at Jeff State. And during that period where I met these people, so my life got out of whack a little bit. I wanted to go work and make money. My dad had died when I was 13 years old. And, you know, there was a part of me that I thought, well, I really don't want to leave my mom and little sister here by themselves and me go off and pursue me being an athlete somewhere. So, you know, you look back on all that, and you see how your life gets out there on a road that I don't think was God's plan for me. You know, I think God's got a perfect plan for your life, and you follow it and it all works out. I was one of the guys that didn't. And so you get out there on that road, and you meet people, and money becomes an object, and you try to, you know, you start getting in business to make money. And so But the road that I traveled was I got out there, but I had to get out there because eventually one of the guys at the country club convinced me to get my real estate license. So I got that. That's where God let me meet my wife, who my wife would not put up with none of my nonsense no more. So the things that I enjoyed doing in life, I thought she wouldn't really have it. And so I had to make a decision at that point, it's a time to grow up, put all this away. And we did. And so I'm out here, and a friend of mine owned a car dealership. He said, hey, I'd love for you to come over here and work with us. And at the time, it was a little bit more security than real estate, insurance, cars. And so anyway, got out there, and my daughter cheered. And they asked me to come coach the Little League team, and I was training a couple quarterbacks at the time on my own time. And when I did that, I knew what God really, my calling was. And my daughter cheered at McAdory. And while she was in high school, I didn't feel like we could change our lifestyle. So her senior year, I told Vicky to pray about it, and we prayed, and that's how I got in coaching.
That's amazing. I love it. That's why it's weird how God's like, no, buddy, you think this is right, but I got you.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
the last thing I wanted to do growing up is a coach.
That's right.
But it was God's calling, and man, I'm so thankful and so blessed. I haven't come to work in 23 years.
Look how many lives you've affected in a positive way as well. Man, you had an incredible stint at Bessemer Academy. You won 4 state football championships, 3 powerlifting. You took the softball team to the Final Fours?
Well, I helped out, but I didn't really coach softball. I don't know how that got, but I coached baseball. My first 3 years at Bessemer Academy, I coached every male sport.
That's wild.
Every male sport.
How many hours a week were you working?
Hundreds. And at the point, you didn't know any difference.
Golly.
But you coach football, and when they hired me for the football coach and the athletic director. And I think 3 days after I started, they said, hey, by the way, you got to be the basketball coach too. Mm-hmm. So we go, and my first game in basketball, I'm used to being able to get on referees, and I'm not coaching 5 minutes. They throw me out of the gym at Tuscaloosa Academy. I'm arguing with the referees.
That's awesome.
And so, but Bessemer Academy, the daddies came to me and said, Coach, we've been needing somebody that will fight for our kids like that. So it was just Bessemer Academy was such a blessing to me because it was a private school, and we really could spend a lot of time with our kids. We did a Bible study every Thursday afternoon.
That's awesome.
They ended up having parents come.
That's awesome.
And 2 of my best friends received Jesus through those meetings. And I let them come sit in. And they were 2 of my best friends, and they were guys that their backgrounds wouldn't lead you to think that they were even interested in Jesus or anything like that. And my background would tell you the same thing with me when I was little, but I've seen God do so many amazing things through us being willing to, it's His program, and just by trying to follow and let it, when I got in coaching, the only thing I promised God was it would be a mission field. And I tell our coaches, well, we hire coaches, it needs to be a mission field to you, and God will take care of the rest. And He's been good to us.
That's amazing. I love that. It's all worth it just for the 2 guys.
Yes.
Well, that's all the other hundreds you've had.
Yes.
You had a stint at Gulf Shores where you actually was very successful, and then went to Spanish Fort where you actually won 2 state championships and finished 50-7. Talk about those 2 stints there and what prepared you for what we know when you arrived at Thompson.
Well, Gulf Shores will always be special to me. Gulf Shores, they gave me the first opportunity to be a public school head coach. Prior to that, I was really close to my mind of going to another large public school. I knew the principal. My wife didn't want to move to that part of the state, so we went down south, and Gulf Shores, Dr. Rosado, and Baldwin County Schools gave me the first opportunity as a private school guy with no history in public school coaching to hire me as a head coach and say, you know what, Coach, come down here and would start your career here. So that's why that's always a special place to me, and I hold them dear in my heart because they gave me a chance. I didn't get into coaching until I think 38 years old. And here I am, probably 47, something like that. And that Gulf Shores gave me a chance, and I think that door opened up the opportunity for the Spanish Fort. The Spanish Fort opened the door for this, and we're just riding that journey out.
Man, here at Thompson, you got here in 14, and this is nowhere near the Thompson we know of today. I mean, it was not nearly what we know it as today, honestly. I mean, it wasn't. And And when you looked across the state, or across the city, basically, and you seen what Rush had built and what Josh had taken to the elite national level, what was your thought process? Because I know you don't measure yourself by others, you measure yourself by yourself, but what was your thought process like? We've not only got to get there, we've got to learn how to beat these guys.
Well, I think that growing up, like you said, I was here when Rush, I was at Bessemer Academy when Rush was coming through Hoover. And being from Birmingham, and a lot of my friends were actually people that moved to Hoover back in the day and helped start the big city of Hoover. And so out of respect to what they had previously done at Hoover, the goal was to come up here and, like you said, see how long it would take to chisel away at that Hoover dynasty, really. Was it a measuring stick? I don't know about all that. I know that I think in college they measured their program against Alabama.
Sure.
And what nobody can argue is for, 18, 20 years, Hoover, like it or not, they were the measuring stick. And so you want to measure yourself against the best to see where you're at, and you can't be afraid of it. So I think not that it was, hey, we got to go beat Hoover, but let's just get good enough that we can compete and have a great program for the people here in Alabaster. And Dr. Victor, superintendent, and the administration gave us every opportunity to come in and lay the foundation, the groundwork I could tell them, I think if you'll do this, I think we can get you a program that you and everybody will be proud of.
I think you've obviously done that. In those early years, let's just take it back to day one. What was your message to the guys? I mean, when you come in here and took this job?
Just that you have to attack what you have, and you can't worry about Hoover, you can't worry about Vestavia, you can't worry about nothing, because at the end of the day, all we control is what we've got here. And so we sold, and it will sound corny, but convincing those guys that was here that they were special because they endured it. It wasn't really good here. And that senior class had endured a lot. They don't win a game the year before. I don't know, and I'm not sure they won, but won. I don't know all that, but they endured football and they endured the program, and I think we convinced them at some point be proud that you've endured it, and now let's get it better, and let's go to work every day, and let's worry about us and what can we do. And we wasn't, we were 5-5, and we had a chance to be 7-3, possibly 8-2. We dropped some punts one night. We lose on the last play of the game one night, and then so we go 5-5, and the one 5-5 year felt like we could have done better. The other 5-5 year, we were climbing the ladder. And then about the time we started, getting 3 years, and I think the weight program, everything that you look at, everywhere we've been, the weight program in the off season is where you win or lose games. And I think our off season program, I think our weight training program is off the charts. Would some people come in here and say, man, that's great? I don't know, but I know it works for us. Lyle Henley is at UAB now. He's the head of strength and nutrition at UAB. But when I was at Spanish Fort, Lyle was in Spanish Fort. So a lot of our kids trained with Lyle as a training center. The parents would take them down there. And when I went to Spanish Fort, they had a class of 5th graders and then 6th graders and 7th graders that went to Lyle. So I formed a great relationship with Lyle and thank the world of Lyle. I love Lyle like a brother. And so we took a lot of things that Lyle instilled as far as the speed and conditioning and training with what we had previously said. Like you said, we talked about we won the powerlifting state championship like 2 or 3 years in a row. So we kind of combined that. Is it something that you would go to a clinic and a strength and conditioning guy would put up there? I don't know that, but I do know this. It works for us.
Something's working.
And so the off season, getting a couple years under your belt of the off season, we have 9 workouts a week in the off season starting in January. We have 4 mornings a week, and then we get them 5 afternoons in 7 periods. So we get 9 really good workouts in the off season. Strength conditioning, speed, agility. They're not even, it's everything about their body. And so we go to spring training, and now you get a couple years of that, and now your kids are stronger. Being stronger helps them mentally, and I think the little things along the way that we do. I think if you went and asked our players, do your coaches love you? I think they would tell you, yeah. And that's not an X and O, and that's not a clinic talk. But I think today's kids, they can read coaches, and they don't want. You need to be honest with them. And I like to hire men that are good people that truly will love the kids and coach them hard. Because if you love them hard, you can coach the kids hard.
That's right.
So you got to coach these kids. You can't. Everything can't be. I don't believe you drop passes and clap and say get the next one. I think you got to concentrate on catching balls. You got to concentrate on blocks. And the only way you can coach a guy through that is they got to know you love them and you're trying to get them better. If not, they see through you and you just want to be a football player. We want them to be good people.
That's right. Like better people.
Yes.
Mental toughness. I noticed in hearing, the way you guys do stuff, you're also coaching mental toughness.
Yeah.
Through the workouts and things. I picked up on that just from hearing that right there. Now, I don't know if you ever envisioned what we know Thompson has now. I'm sure you probably did, but you had to make everybody else buy into it. When you first got to the state championship game, I know you came up short. I know that had to be heartbreaking, but to not lose focus and turn right back around and win that first one. Talk about how you mentally had to keep everybody dialed in because you get that close, and then to go back to the next season and get it done, and then now you've won 2 in a row.
Well,
about that.
I think going back to Bessemer Academy, I think year 4 we made the state championship game, and we got beat pretty bad by Monroe, and I think initially getting there, I think the kids were in awe when we got there at Troy Stadium. They look around, and all of a sudden they're in the state championship game, and I did a poor job preparing the kids probably, and we got beat 34-12, 36-12 something. But we rolled around a year later and played that same team again, and we were a little better prepared. And we won that game 9-6 on a last-minute field goal. So, it's the same thing here. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to get there and feel what it's like because we're telling our kids, I believe in the first day of summer workouts, telling the kids, they're not. They know, their parents know there's a state championship game that year probably, and we don't hide the fact that we want to have a chance to play in it. And so you have to prepare and you have to visualize that state championship and raising that trophy. You got to visualize it, but it's a day-to-day accumulation of weeks, accumulation of months to get there. It's not looking here. It's day-to-day, win the week, and we've done that everywhere we've been. Our coaches are bought into that. So if we go out today and we win Monday, we're going to win Tuesday, Wednesday. We got a good chance. If we do what Thompson can do, I can't control this week's Spain Park. I can't control them. I can't control Hoover, Trussville. Do what we do and do it good and the best we can do it. And then Saturday morning, no matter what, we can get up and we feel like, we can live with it. Because the sun's coming up anyway. So
That's right. Now, I know you've been asked this 1,000 times. I'm going to ask the status quo, but last year's game was just unbelievable. Amazing national headlines. What was going through your head right there? Literally, I watched the clock go down to 28 seconds, and you were down 9 points, and they were punting. What was going through your head there?
That was the one chance.
Had to block that.
We had to block it.
Yeah. You was probably focused 100% on getting that block, I'm sure.
Yeah, and the story about that, and it will come out one day. I had a guy call me wanting to do a thing about
you
that.
You probably do a whole segment on just that.
But there's so many things that happen, not to bore you, but there's so many things that happened in that game that happened, that had to happen, like early in the game when we got down there with a chance to score. I was trying to call timeout, and the guy was looking right at me. I needed to get a substitute, and they looked right at me and didn't give me the timeout. Too much time. They gave us 5 yards. Well, during that penalty, I got what I wanted in the game, so it cost us 5 yards, but we scored the next play out of the Wildcat package. So we had the timeout in my pocket that if they'd given me the timeout, we don't have it at the end. So that worked out in our favor. So we had a timeout in our pocket. We had a punt block called early in the game. We felt like going in, we could block a punt. We had a punt block called. We checked out of it. I, as a head coach, I thought last thing we need to do is rough the punter and change momentum because the game was. So we check out of that. So we got our timeout saved. We got our punt block saved. And I don't think Adam and them, you know, I can't speak for them, but our one chance was doing the math that there was going to have to be a decision made. And our one chance was to block the punt. And so we sold out and was able to block the punt. If we block the punt, we don't run it in, we don't win the game.
That's right.
We block it, we run it in. People said, why did you go for 2? We had a package of 3 plays. We felt like we're 95%. We were going to hit a 2-point conversion. We had already missed an extra point. So they said, man, you could have gone down 8. Well, we weren't going to play for a tie at that point. So I thought, you know what, there ain't no difference. We were trying to go for 2, get to 7, so we could score and go for 2 and win the game. Because at that point, we was not going to play for a tie.
That's right.
We didn't have a quarterback. Trey was at quarterback for us, so overtime really wasn't an option to us. We didn't feel like. So we tried to go for 2, and we just don't throw the ball to the guy. We're wide open. That would have got it to 7, and we could have scored and gone for 2 and had a chance to win the game. Perfect plan. We missed the extra point or whatever it was. We don't make it, so we're down, 9, I guess. And so, you know, we block the punt. We get to whatever the 2-point difference is. And onside kick had to be perfect. You know, when you spend hours over a season, you say, how can we save points? I tell John, Coach Jones, and Coach Gaines, through our special teams, Coach Jones predominantly, I said, when I start squeezing time out of y'all, don't let me squeeze special teams. Let me squeeze it somewhere else. And I tell John, fight for that time, John. Fight for that. When I'm sitting over here, course of the year, how can we save time? How can we save leg? I said, John, fight for your special teams. Don't let me take it. Right. And so the hours you spend on extra point field goal, we kick every day, extra point field goal in the day, we film it, and we get the onside kick. Our thought process from that point was the guy that if we have to kick a field goal, Trevor had already missed an extra point. We knew from film study at the end of practice, he made a lot more from the right hash than the middle or the left hash. So the last drive was predominantly, what can we run to peck away, and how can we keep the ball in the right hash? We can't throw crossing routes. We can't throw pick routes. We got to keep the ball here. And we throw a ball up. The play that they interfered with JB, I think was a great play because I think JB is behind him to go catch that ball. If you look at it.
Oh, yeah.
So they hold, and thank God the officials saw the hold. And, you know, I really wasn't ready for the kick. I thought they would call all their timeouts.
Call one.
And so you're standing there thinking they're going to call timeout. They look at me and we say, hey, kick it, you know. And we wanted to, truthfully, if they had called timeout, we wanted to see if they were bringing 11 or trying to block it. And honestly, I think at that point we would have caught our safe field goal.
Yeah.
That was the plan. Let's call timeout. Let's see how they're going to do it. Well, they defended it with a guy deep. So we felt like we got to kick it. And so we didn't call timeout. They didn't call timeout. So we're down now. We got to kick it. And you kick it through before you know it, it's over. You know, and
people's running around.
It's a miracle.
You know? Oh, it was 100% miracle. It made national headlines. It's unbelievable. I'm going to switch gears. I know I'm talking to you a bunch, Coach. I want to talk about the philosophies for you for a second. You've been, most thing I'm intrigued by you is how you go to places that are not necessarily, I ain't going to say not winners, but just, you know, not what we know them as now.
Mm-hmm.
At each stop, you've kind of done that. What is some of the foundation type bricks that you build immediately when you get to a place? Something that you're installing, something that maybe not the other coaches are. There's something you're doing that is a little bit different than what I've seen from most coaches.
Me personally, I love the building and growing process. Me personally, I love going in to people that will call you on the phone and say, "What are you thinking?" I took the the day I took the Bessemer Academy job and it came public, I had a coach that had been coaching 35 years call me and say, I didn't know the guy. He said, hey, you just took the graveyard of coaching, and I just want to let you know.
That's got to get you fired.
And it did. And then when we came here, Spanish Ford had just graduated a lot of the kids off their team. Their head coach was a good friend of mine. I knew they would potentially be down a little bit right there. And so we went in there coming off the winning state championship, but losing 19 starters. So a little bit different situation, but still a battle to get it going. And then when we came here, it was situations like you're talking about, as another opportunity to build and grow and look back and say, man, look, we made a difference here. And so I like that. You got to have the people above you that are willing to tell you, hey, we're going to help you with your coaching. We're going to help you with your support staff. We're going to help you with everything that you're going to need. Can you get us a program? And I love that. I love going in and being able to go whatever it is, and they tell you, hey, can you get this done? And I think there's a process, whether it's junior high, high school, college. I think there's a process to build the culture, the foundations of what I feel like we've always centered on. And a lot of that is personal stuff with the kids, it's personal stuff with how the parents, and I don't know that every place can do it, but everywhere that the Lord's led me to go, we've been able to go in and build that love and that pride. And the one thing, I take wins and loss out of it, I feel like everywhere we've been, our kids give us maximum effort. 95% of the time, our kids play hard for us. And I think that goes into a lot of stuff we do in the off season. Without going into it, there's a lot of stuff that we as coaches do with our kids that I feel like those guys know that man, we love them. We want to be good dads and husbands one day, and we're not talking no talk. I think a lot of it has to do with relationships between our players and coaches.
How do you evaluate your personal self season-wise? Like at the end of the season, you seem like a guy that holds yourself accountable. How do you evaluate yourself at the end of the season?
Personally or team-wise?
Personally. Where do you think you're the best Coach Freeman this year you could have been?
I think most years I do, because every day is a different day, and where I fail, let's say I talk away at practice, I don't want to talk that day. I had to fix Mark Freeman, because if I'm not fixed, nobody's going to be fixed. And so we're all human beings, and we all go through days where you can't, you're not going to be perfect in what you do. And we got to remember, the kids are not going to be perfect, because we're not perfect with them every day. So I think there's a way, but as far as evaluation, I think the first thing I evaluate myself in is, have we been good leaders to our kids? Have we done it through adversity? Have we showed, because adversity will expose who you really are. And through the adverse times of, I don't know, losing your best player. We went through that Spanish Fort. We lost our best player over something. And we endured through that, and we won that championship without the best player on our team, supposedly that year. But I think at the end of the year, you evaluate it and you say, did we do everything to prepare our kids to have a chance to win in most every situation? I think you start there. But to me, it starts back with, have we been good men to our kids?
There we go. That's awesome. A couple more questions and we'll shut it down, Coach. When you go to hire a coach on your staff, what are some of the characteristics and traits that he has to have to be a part of this program?
Just to be blunt and honest, early on, I would look for good men. Obviously knows football. I don't need an X and O guy in here that's going to do things at practice or act away in the classroom or something. Really get good men. And early on, when I was building our varsity staff, I asked every coach, do you think we can beat Hoover? And if they hedged it all, I didn't hire them. If they looked me in the eye and said, yes, sir, coach, then we talked further. But I really feel like, and I say Hoover, because when we came here, they were the measuring stick, and rightly so. Out of respect, do you think we can challenge these guys? Out of respect, not out of hate. I know most all those people over there. So I think as a coaching staff, if you don't believe that you can be successful as a coach, or you're going to have a week where you go out there and you coach the thing, man, no matter what I do, we can't win this week. We're not the place for that. So I think that was a big part of hiring coaches was their character, as much background as I could get. Are they solid people? And so I think hiring coaches is tremendous. You got to have a good feel for the people you hire.
That's right. And say as a parent, my kid goes to school here, just about to play football. What are some of the things you would tell me as a parent that you demand from your kid to be a part of a Thompson Warrior?
He's got to be here. We don't have sessions where part of the coaches come. If we have something going on, we're all here. Every coach, every player, every manager, everybody is committed to the program, to the same goals, the same values. We all have to have that. And not to be ugly to parents or something, but there came a time here that we had to tell the parents that if you're sitting next to somebody in the stands and they're hollering negative stuff and they're out there demoralizing everybody around them by their lane, I said, get away from good old boy. I said, get away from them. If you care about your son, your program, at some point you can't be part of that. You have to support the program. And we tell them that, and I'll never forget, we came off the field one night and I had about 7 daddies at halftime. Stop. They said, hey, coach, good old boy's gone. I said, coach, you can't even find good old boy, he's gone. and what I'm saying is they have to support us too.
That's right.
We're doing the best we can. We don't need you to be negative Joe up there. Everybody comes to the game and everybody coaches, and I don't mind that about the play calling or nothing like that, but just as a parent, be supportive of your child. And obviously, I don't think asking us about play time is something you need to do because we're trying to win every game. We coach every day. We know who missed workouts. We know who didn't do that. We're going to play the best guys that can help Alabaster, Thompson High School win games. And we're going to play the guys that we feel like can help us win. And, you're like saying, why wouldn't we play your son if he's the best player? So sometimes you have to evaluate until you let dad go home and look at huddle. And sometimes that kid's got 3 minutes of video that week and other people's got 3 hours. You got 5 Division I kids with 2.5 hours of video, and dad wants to know why ain't Johnny playing. Well, first thing you do is he's got 3 minutes of huddle. It means he's not watching film, he's not preparing.
That's right.
Thank you, coach. So, not to be ugly, but I think we all have to be in the deal, and you're not always going to be 100%.
That's right.
But I think initially you try to get everybody involved, and sometimes it works and sometimes it don't.
That's awesome. And last thing, Coach, before we shut it down, and you kind of touched on this earlier, but what do you hope these young men take away from you in this program as they move over in their day-to-day lives and become fathers and husbands?
That every decision and every choice they make is going to have a reaction. Every decision, and there's things we dealt with our kids, and I tell the kids this: the decisions you make, you have to think Tuesday. You have to think on Tuesday, we win the game Friday, I'm gonna have this group of friends that want me to go and do this. If you win the game, your emotions can lead you to go do that, which might not be the right thing, the best decision. But I think if you think about your decisions and hey, I really can't go there. The old deal about I'm going to make sure Joe acts right, and the old compromising. I think you got to talk about decisions, and we have people make decisions here, and I try to tell those guys, I'm trying to prepare you for the night when you go to college and the wrong guy challenges you, or the wrong guy opens his door in your car one night. Is it a big deal when a dude shoots you over a dent in your car? Get in your car, go home, and make great decisions. Be Christian leaders. Be a Christian daddy and husband if that's your faith. But just really leave here and be a great person, a great dad, and a great entrepreneur. Hope one day, be good people.
That's right. Better beings in society.
Yes.
We need a little bit of that nowadays.
Absolutely.
Coach, I appreciate you, man. This has been eye-opening, and it's been a fantastic interview. And sorry I took so much of your time up, but man, when it's rolling like that, I hate to shut one down. You know what I mean?
Bo, I've enjoyed it, and I wish you the best, and I appreciate what you do, and we need that this day and time. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.